It starts with a feeling, a subtle one. You can't quite explain it, like something's wrong, but no one around you seems to notice. Like there's a leash around your soul, tight, silent, invisible. You wake up, you go to work, you smile when you're supposed to, nod when expected. But somewhere deep inside you wonder if this is really your life, or just a script that was handed to you by something much larger than you can see. Let me ask you a question. Who taught you how to behave? Who decided how loud you're allowed to speak? How late you can sleep? What is respectable? What is lazy? Who made those rules? You didn't. You were born into a system already in motion, a system that doesn't need chains to keep you compliant. IT doesn't need guards or locked doors, because the prison is already in your mind. And here's the twisted part. You built most of it yourself, stone by stone, belief by belief, smile by smile. Michel Foucault didn't just study society. He exposed its darkest trick. Society doesn't dominate you by force. It dominates you by making you believe it's your choice. You think you're free, but you're watched. Every move, every word. By cameras. By laws. By the people around you. By your own conscience. Trained to punish you before anyone else does. That's not freedom. That's self-policing. Let me show you how deep it goes. There was a prison called the Panopticon. A brilliant, terrifying design. At its center, a single watchtower. All around it, prison cells arranged in a circle. The prisoners couldn't see who was inside the tower. They never knew if they were being watched or not. And so, they behaved. Not because they were being beaten, but because they might be seen. That uncertainty, it made them obedient, quiet, predictable. Sound familiar? You live in a panopticon, but it's no longer made of bricks. It's built out of social media, out of likes, out of comments, out of silent judgment. You censor your thoughts before anyone else does. You soften your truth so you don't get canceled or hated or unfollowed. You walk into rooms and shrink yourself to fit the mood, to fit the crowd, to fit the norm. You don't live, you perform. And here's the poison wrapped in honey. Society rewards you for being compliant. IT calls you professional. It calls you mature. It claps for your obedience, while stealing your edge. The sharp parts of you, the dangerous parts, are the most alive, but they've been filed down, smoothed out, neutralized. You've been taught to fear your own power, to doubt your instincts, to sit still, smile, nod. They don't need to lock you in a cell. They've already trained your mind to stay inside one. And the price of that, you don't even know who you are anymore. There's a boy out there who wanted to scream, but instead, he became a good employee. There's a girl who wanted to fight, to lead, to shake the world, but she was told to be nice, quiet, ladylike. Do you see it now? The bars are invisible, but the damage is real. And the worst part is, they make you believe you chose this. You were promised freedom. Instead, you got discipline disguised as choice, surveillance disguised as safety, conformity disguised as peace. They didn't kill your fire. They just convinced you it's dangerous to burn. But here's the twist they didn't see coming. You're starting to wake up. You're starting to feel the itch, the hunger for something raw, real, uncensored. And that feeling you're carrying, that quiet rage, that restless pulse in your blood, it's not wrong. It's your original self, trying to breathe again. This isn't just philosophy. This is war. A silent war over your soul. Because if you break the script, if you stop nodding, if you start asking the forbidden questions, you don't just reclaim your mind. You become dangerous, and that's what they fear most. Not criminals, not rebels, but people who can't be programmed, the ones who wake up and refuse to go back to sleep. You feel it, don't you? Then come closer. There's more I need to show you. Not theories, not ideas, weapons. Because once you see the full system for what it is, you'll never bow again. They didn't shackle you with chains. They handed you a phone, a smile, a dream that wasn't yours, and you took it because everyone else did. But behind that dream, behind the glow of filtered photos and polished routines, there's something darker, something precise, engineered. You were never meant to be wild. You were meant to be useful. Let that sink in. Useful.to the system.to the machine.to those who profit when you obey without question. You wake up, not to your own rhythm, but to an alarm you dress in. Clothes designed not to express, but to conform. You sit in traffic. You clock in. You produce. You pretend. And when the exhaustion kicks in, they offer you self-care. A Netflix binge. A dopamine rush. Another scroll through someone else's fabricated life. Not freedom, sedation. You think the world wants you to be happy. No, it wants you to be quiet. Foucault called it biopower. A chilling concept. Society doesn't just control your actions, it regulates your body, your time, your energy, your attention. It's no longer about punishing you when you step out of line. It's about shaping you so perfectly that you never even think of stepping out. Look around. You're tracked from birth, medical records, school records, credit scores. You are measured, compared, documented. Like livestock, they call it data. They call it progress. But what it really is control wrapped in convenience. And you carry the surveillance willingly. You post your face, your location, your thoughts every single day. You feed the system the very fuel it needs to map your mind. Why? Because you've been trained to trade privacy for validation. You've been taught that silence is awkward, that boredom is dangerous, that being alone with your thoughts means something is wrong with you. So you stay distracted, fed by algorithms designed to keep you numb. But numb people don't revolt. Numb people don't question. Numb people just keep consuming. There's a reason they taught you to fear discomfort. Discomfort is the beginning of awareness, and awareness is the death of obedience. They don't want you uncomfortable. They want you entertained. Because if you stop being entertained, you might start noticing the cracks in the mask. The coworker who's dying inside but still smiles. The friend who posts, living my best life, while sinking in anxiety. The influencer with the perfect body who's starving for real connection. Everyone's performing. Everyone's afraid to stop. Why? Because the moment you break character, society punishes you. Not with whips, but with silence, exile, judgment. That's the modern guillotine. Social rejection. You don't need a tyrant anymore. You fear your peers more than your rulers, because it's your peers who cancel you, who whisper behind your back, who nod politely, and then cut you off for being too real. They've weaponized community. They've made belonging conditional. Speak the wrong truth, and you're gone, so you obey. But your soul keeps screaming. Foucault warned us. Power isn't held in palaces anymore. It's woven into norms, manners, words you're allowed to say, jokes you're not allowed to make, opinions you must keep locked inside. You don't need to be forced into obedience, because society has already convinced you that rebellion is immature, selfish, dangerous. It's not. It's sacred. The ones who break the rules, the right rules, aren't the villains. They're the initiates. The ones who've started to see, started to question, started to climb. Because this isn't just about society. This is about you, your life, your time, your voice. If you keep going the way they trained you, you'll live the life they designed for you. Predictable, polite, peaceful, but dead inside. Or you can awaken. It starts with a flicker. An inner revolt. You stop apologizing for your anger. You stop editing your soul. You stop playing roles written by people who never asked who you truly are. And when that happens, when your blood starts to boil with purpose, you'll notice something. The fear begins to fade. You start to speak a little louder. You start to walk with more weight. You look people in the eye. You no longer ask for permission. Because deep down, you remember who you were before they trained you to behave. And that's the most dangerous thing you can do. Because when one person breaks the illusion, others start to follow. This is your edge, your turning point, the moment where comfort dies and power is born. But if you think this is the end of the illusion, you're wrong. You've only seen the surface. the real machinery, the deeper manipulations. You haven't even scratched it. There's one more layer beneath this, a transformation so deep that once you step into it, you'll never be a pawn again. There comes a moment when something inside you snaps, not in madness, but in clarity. A moment where you stop chasing applause and start listening to the silence beneath the noise. It doesn't happen in some grand speech. It doesn't happen on a stage. It happens when you're alone, late at night, staring into the mirror and asking one question: who the hell am I when no one is watching? That's when the mask slips. That's when obedience starts to rot. Because you see the cost, the hours you've traded, the opinions you've silenced, the dreams you buried just to fit in. You feel it in your chest, a heaviness that no therapist, no app, no motivational quote can erase. You were trained to submit, but now you're learning to rise. That's the moment Foucault feared most. Not rebellion in the streets, but rebellion in the mind. You begin to trace the strings. You start to notice how everything you love was carefully curated for you. Your beliefs, your desires, even your fears. None of them are truly yours. They were installed. By media, by education, by the need to be liked. Think about it. From the time you were a child, you were rewarded for sitting still, for memorizing instead of questioning, for obeying the bell like a prisoner or a dog. You weren't taught how to think. You were taught how to repeat, and those who questioned, they were labeled disruptive, problematic, too much. But here's the hidden truth. The ones who were too much were often exactly enough. They just hadn't learned how to sharpen it yet. You want to become untouchable? Start here. Detach your identity from the script they gave you. The career they said you should want. The lifestyle that looks good on Instagram. The version of success that leaves you empty. Throw it out. Burn it. Because the minute you do, you reclaim your most dangerous power. Choice? No longer the product of programming. You become the programmer, and it's terrifying. Because now, no one else is responsible. Not your parents. Not your teachers. Not your boss. Not the government. Just you. You want freedom? It's not sexy, it's not glamorous, it's brutal, it's lonely, but it's real. Because now, you start making moves from clarity, not conditioning. You stop asking, what am I supposed to do? And start asking, what do I want to do? And suddenly, you see the power games. You see how social media is designed to weaponize your insecurity. How entertainment exists to keep you distracted from your potential. How outrage is manufactured daily so you stay emotional, reactive, and obedient. Because angry people don't build, they burn. And when you're always burning, you never rise. So you pull back. Not to retreat, but to observe. To study. You become the strategist. You learn to read people. You notice the micro-expressions, the subtle cues, the manipulation hidden in compliments, the dominance coded in casual conversation. You're no longer the one reacting. You are now the one orchestrating, the one who controls their energy, who speaks less but says more, who stops broadcasting their life and starts moving in silence, and they'll feel it. The moment you stop playing the game, people notice. They'll say you've changed. You've gotten cold. Arrogant. No, you've become disciplined. Because now, your time is currency. Your attention is sacred. Your circle is locked. You're not here to entertain. You're here to build. And building requires silence, focus, isolation. Because the higher you rise, the fewer people can breathe your air. You'll lose some relationships. You'll grieve the old self. But what you gain is unshakable. You gain vision. You gain inner fire. You gain the ability to walk into any room and know who holds power and who pretends to. Because now, you see through the performance. They can't fool you anymore. You've peeled back the veil. You know, the truth, most people aren't living. They're acting. And you stopped acting. You became the author. Not of the system, but of your own story. This is the shift Foucault never saw fully play out. the rise of the aware individual in a world of mass obedience. You are not a rebel without cause. You are the silent architect of your own empire. And if that scares them, good, let them tremble. Because when a man or woman reclaims their mind, no chain can hold them. No voice can silence them. No system can own them. That's what you are now. A storm walking calmly through a world of sleepwalkers. And what comes next is the death of your old self and the final rebirth into something legendary. You feel it now, don't you? Not in your mind, but deeper. In your bones. A heat. A pulse. A voice that was always yours, but had been whispered over year after year by teachers, bosses, friends, lovers, influencers, all trying to mold you into something easier to digest. But now you're done being digestible. You were not born to be agreeable. You were born to be awake. And that is the most dangerous thing you can be in a world designed to keep you sleeping. Society doesn't fear criminals. It doesn't fear protests. It doesn't even fear chaos. What it fears is the silent man who thinks for himself, the woman who doesn't flinch when disrespected, the individual who no longer needs permission to act, to speak, to rise. Foucault said it best: power is everywhere. It's in the gaze, in the norms, in the small, unspoken rules that make you question yourself before you've even moved. But you've stopped questioning. You've remembered. There was a time, long ago, before the conditioning, before the shame, before the masks and the smiles and the I'm fine-s, when you just moved, when you reached for what you wanted without asking, when your instincts were clean, your ambition unfiltered. That part of you didn't die. It was buried. But now you've dug it up, and it doesn't come back as a whisper. It comes back as a roar. Because the truth is this: you were never weak. You were just taught to doubt your strength. You were never lost. You were just surrounded by people who needed you confused to feel safe. And now, you're not confused. You're clear. And nothing is more powerful than clarity. Because clarity is not loud. It doesn't fight. It doesn't plead. It just moves. Moves through manipulation without flinching. Moves through rejection without collapsing. Moves through fear. Like a sword through fog. And here's the twist they never expected. By trying to tame you, they trained you. Every betrayal made you sharper. Every humiliation forged your patience. Every cage taught you where the exits were. They tried to make you small, but they only taught you how to vanish from their system. Not physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. Now, you walk among them, but you're not of them. They see you, but they don't see you. Because you've stopped broadcasting your worth, you've become the question mark in every room. You're not trying to prove anything. You are the proof. You don't chase validation. You withhold access. You don't explain your boundaries. You enforce them silently. You don't beg for a seat at the table. You build your own. And now, when you speak, people listen. Because your words aren't coming from ego, they're coming from stillness, from experience, from the scars you turned into blueprints. This is the final trap that breaks for good. The need to be liked, that's the hook they kept in your chest. The need to be accepted. To be seen as good. To be safe. But you weren't built for safety. You were built for truth. And the truth is this: you don't need everyone. You don't need their likes. You don't need their applause. You don't even need their understanding. You only need alignment with yourself, with your principles, with your vision. Because when your inner world is intact, no amount of chaos outside can move you. And from that place, you become untouchable. Not because you're arrogant, but because you've returned home. To yourself. To your power. To the primal knowing that you've carried since birth. You were never meant to serve the system. You were meant to outgrow it. So now the world looks at you, and they feel it. The presence, the gravity, the quiet discipline that cannot be faked. And they don't know what changed, but they feel it. You are no longer trying to be good. You're trying to be real. And no longer trying to be liked. You're trying to be free. And freedom? Freedom makes you glow in a way that obedience never could. So let this be the line in the sand. Let this be the moment. You're done playing their game. You're done being watched, weighed, and whispered about. You are not a pawn. You are not a follower. You are not an echo. You are the storm, the writer, the fire, and they can't cage fire forever. So go. Move like the system doesn't own you because now it doesn't. Comment below. Tell me what lie you're done believing, what mask you're taking off, what freedom actually looks like for you. If this stirred something in your soul, like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss the next revelation. This channel isn't for everyone. It's for the ones who feel the pull in their chest, to wake up, to break out, to rise. You don't need permission. You're already dangerous. Now you're just aware of it.